What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 153. My name is Bret, aka Enigma9011, and you can catch this podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011, usually every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Join the chat, join in the conversation over there if you'd like to, but if you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. Drops over on YouTube and podcast services. The very next week is broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, remember, any way you guys can support the show, the podcast, whether it's a like, a comment, a review, a share, whatever it is, big or small, it does help the show out in a big way. So whatever you can do to help us out, we would love you for it. Topic number one today, we're going to be talking about Extra Life. Extra Life happened this past weekend, at least for us. And we had a phenomenal year. This seems to be a topic that we do every year, post Extra Life, just kind of a little bit of a rehash or a look back on the event. Oh, geez, hi, Moose. The event, how I thought it went, how we could improve things, if we want to nitpick, which, this year specifically, I guess you could really call it a nitpick because it was a very successful year. If we want to nitpick on how we could improve things, stuff like that, just a fun open conversation, because while these events are once again very successful and there's nothing to complain about or anything in that regard, it is a smart move, or it's a good thing to do and reflect and look back and see how you can improve things. So I just want that to be clear. I am not in any way, shape, or form being like, oh, this was a bad year and this didn't happen this way. No, I just want to know what I can do better down the line, and for future events to maybe make it more of a success. Now, once again, this year, very successful. We broke our fundraising record. So previously our record was just shy of $1,100. So that was our goal this year, was to attempt to break that record. Excuse me, Moose. You need to leave. So that was our goal. And we ended up doing that and some, as we got to raise, with your guys' help, $1,450 for the Extra Life charity, which is fantastic. Our goal, if we broke our record, was to do a second charity stream. And you're probably going to be like, well, Bret, why would you be doing a second charity stream? I mean, don't get me wrong, it's always good to help the kids and stuff like that. But what would be the benefit of that? Well, we put 1,100 as our goal. We want to just break the record there. I put a stretch goal for let's see if we can raise $2,000. And what's going to happen with the second stream is it's going to be a combined amount for what we had raised this past weekend, and in addition to the follow-up stream to try and get to that 2,000. So if you didn't watch, you're probably like, okay, well, what are we trying to aim or get to with the 2,000 total raised? Good question, viewer. Where were you Saturday? No, I'm just kidding. Good question. Our objective, goal, whatever you want to call it, milestone for reaching the 2,000 is to shave my head. So I'm going to be sporting a Mr. Clean look if we raise 2,000 between the two events. So yeah, fun stuff. It seems like I have found your kryptonite, and my hair is the big motivator. Couldn't really think of milestones this year, as planning did not go super well on my behalf. And this year was kind of not thrown together, but it was definitely less prepared, I guess, than compared to previous years. So I didn't know what to put for a big milestone. So I decided that the hair was good, because it seems like that gets people going, that gets people talking. The previous year where we'd done it, where we're just cutting it short, we reached our goal, I believe, in the first 5 hours, which was insane. So I wanted to use that again. So yes, our follow-up stream that we have gotten is going to be officially happening on Saturday, December 10th. So if you're listening to this as it releases day of, it is not tomorrow, but it is 1 week from tomorrow. It is not going to be another 24 hours. It is going to be a 12-hour stream. Lots of details still need to be planned as of what we're playing, and are there going to be any milestones there, which probably not, as the big one will just be my hair. But yeah, the objective with that stream during those 12 hours will be to raise another $550 for Extra Life, and if we reach that, then the hair will go bye-bye. So yeah, we'll have some fun on that day, and we'll see if we can spark the magic again. So, how did this year's Extra Life go? Well, I think it went fantastic. Obviously, numerically, and how we raised money, or how much money we raised, was great. How did it feel not going into this with as much prep as previous years? Honestly, kind of very scary, at least at the very beginning. I had talked to a couple different people, my parents' lady, Jeff, about, like, I really wanted to start planning this early to try and just, work out all the kinks or have the best game plan that I could. So I was like, all right, August time, I'm going to start planning. Well, unfortunately, with just work and that being our busy season, that did not happen, along with some other stresses, as I've talked on the past podcast, so you can go check that out. So my focus wasn't really there, understandably so. So this one, no offense, kind of snuck up on me of like, oh shit, it's already November, it's a few weeks away, we need to make things happen. So I was going into it very simple mindset. Keep it simple, stupid. Just do the charity. Just do one big goal and milestone and just have fun, and, whatever is raised is raised. It's no big deal. And then, like anything, like any idea, it evolves and it grew into something bigger than anticipated. So one thing that we did do that was kind of fun is we did giveaways for sticker packages. So some stickers of, whoopsie, wrong camera. His eyes are keyed out. Some stickers of some of our Twitch emotes that I thought people would like. So we did about 8 to 10 of those. And we still have some extra ones. So maybe we could do some more giveaways there. But I thought that was a fun idea. It seemed like people really enjoyed those raffles. So we had those, and we ended up giving away 2 games. So we gave away a copy of God of War Ragnarok, and we gave away a copy of Pokemon Scarlet to the winners there. So we had some fun with some giveaways. These are the first giveaways we've done other than merch, like t-shirts and stuff like that. So that was fun to do. And have the opportunity to, and especially with the stickers, I've seen some other streamers do these with these emotes, with their emotes rather. So I just thought it was fun. Like I said, I've seen other people do it, but this still felt unique enough that I don't know. I don't think anybody was expecting me to hand out stickers of the emotes. So yeah, we got good feedback from it. Maybe we'll do some more in the future, maybe some variations. We'll see. But we were lucky enough to have the opportunity to do those. And then those are really the only, I guess, incentives. We didn't do, and compared to previous years, we didn't do milestones for wheel spins, or when we reach X amount, we're going to do this, besides the secondary charity stream and the shaving of the head. I will say, in comparison, that was very much less of a stressful thing. Contemplating really okay, what's going to be 250? What's going to be 350? What's going to be 500? What in scale and where do these things fit that kind of makes sense? So I do think in in terms of planning, that was a good move, or that was a nice thing that not to think about, not to worry about or stress about, like, oh, I got to make sure I'm doing all these wheel spins and keeping up to date. We really only had to keep up with the sticker giveaways. I think there was one I missed, so we doubled up on one of them, which was fine. That's not the end of the world. But we were able to stay organized. Everybody's entries got in. As people were donating, we had a good system. And everything in terms of giveaways and milestones, I thought flowed very well and very nicely. So, cool, good positive there, considering not a lot of planning going into it. Game schedule, I think, worked out decently well. There were some things that probably could improve there. So we played a wide variety of games, as we always do. And this was our first year in 2 years, or 3 years rather. Hi, Moose. Hi. Do you want to be on stream again? No, don't go under the desk. That is not where I need you. Oh, come here. Be on podcast. Hi, I'm Moose. I'm a cat. Anyways. So in terms of games, we played a lot of different stuff, as we do. And this was the first year we had friends over, and it was a blast having everybody over involved. Definitely a lot louder than previous years, I would say, at least in certain segments. But yeah, we started with Mario Party, then we went into Gartic Phone, which unfortunately shit the bed. Then we went into Super Blood Hockey, which was a blast. Then Codenames, Jackbox Party 9, along with some others. Among Us with some friends that were out of state who couldn't make it in person. Followed by Elden Ring, then Played Up, then WWE 2KGM mode with Papa Griff. Overwatch 2, and then concluded with Fortnite with myself and Lady. All the segments went off really, really well besides Gartic Phone. I'm not sure if it was just because we're all on the same internet or whatever, and unfortunately the game browser or the web browser was not able to handle that. On the opposite side of the thing, Codenames handled it very well. I'm glad that was working in the setup of having the display, at least for the people in the room as well as chat, to not have the answers up there so they could kind of play along. That worked very well and ran very smoothly. The very tiny bit of Gartic Phone that we did get working was fun. I'd like to try and implement that into maybe the follow-up stream and maybe have people just play via their own web connection. Maybe it will run better there, because that's a game, when I watch, very entertaining, regardless of people's art, talent, and skill. Just seeing the insanity that does come up, whether it's the prompts obviously they were given or how they manipulate it. Just a good time overall. So unfortunately that didn't work, but other than that, everything ran fine. Everything went smoothly. Setup was good. One very weird thing, so the day prior we were able to set up, and that was a huge benefit. Off the bat, we really oh boy, we really tested everything. And it went very, very well. We even set up the dimensions for the displays on stream for the different captures and whatnot. And for some reason, I don't know why, but the Gartic Phone and the Codenames through the web browser, those filters and crops didn't maintain when going to the live stream on day of, so we did have to readjust those. Not the end of the world, just one of those things where little unfortunate. But as for tech issues, for that to be really our only one, we had one delay of the webcam, which was a very easy fix of resetting it. Compared to previous years where the Extra Life little helper's not working, or donations aren't popping up, or audio is totally fucked up for some reason, to just have this as the capture device cropping just needed to be adjusted again was chef's kiss, beautiful, fantastic. So very happy about that. So all the games ran very smoothly, as we got into the wee hours, when I was kind of flying solo, so post Among Us, up until Papa Griff helped out towards the end, I will admit was a little bit rough. So we had Elden Ring and Played Up were the big two. I think probably it was because, well, it's late, Brett. Duh, you're gonna be tired. I think it was a mixture of that and the kind of energy output or like presentation, I guess, that I kind of put forward during those segments. So during Elden Ring, the whole concept was punishment Elden Ring. Okay, I have some boss fights lined up. Every time I die, I'm going to do a punishment. So either an exercise, Bean Boozled Jelly Bean, or a sour candy. Ended up doing mainly exercises, so I was getting yacked, as you do. And exercises went very well, but obviously those take some energy. I had some people in chat, very kind of them to be up obviously that late and hanging out. They were doing great, but they were all having a conversation about like some games. I was not involved in that conversation. Not like they were purposely leaving me out, but I had just no input. So I'm doing the boss fights and I'm dying to no one's surprise. And just an observation, I wasn't really talking all that much. And guess what? You're on stream. You kind of have to do that. That's what makes it entertaining. And it kind of felt the same with Played Up. While Played Up was a great game, and we bounced back for a little bit with like, oh, okay, I'm going to eat something. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so much energetic now. And then literally after I stopped eating 5 minutes later, I was like, oh, nope, back to grogginess. I think it may have been those choice of games and personally my own mess up of the presentation aspect. I should have been more quote unquote on that may have fought against me in terms of energy levels. Now, obviously, I don't want to be over the top because then you get tired way more quicker, but I should have been better of like, just like even just regular stream communicating, even if it's just talking to myself, doing something. So just a little observation there. I think something that may have benefited that was maybe a choice of different games there. I know Elden Ring's been all the jazz this year, obviously a Game of the Year contender. So I thought people would be intrigued with me, quote unquote, torturing myself with this. And then Played Up, while a great game, I don't think fit that time slot necessarily. Like, I should have done something that was a little bit more, I guess, engaging or fast-paced. While Played Up is great in the moments where it's fast-paced, the in-betweens and the strategery or the strategic aspect of that game, not the best for a 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. block. Now, when Papa Griff did come back at 6 a.m., immensely, internally, I already felt 100 times better. Just because I knew I had someone else there to communicate with. Granted, we were very quiet. That's just us. But I did feel better knowing that I had somebody there with me to play this game. I still had a couple of moments of like grogginess and like, whoop, what did I just do? I don't remember doing that. Luckily, I did have an energy drink during that portion and rebounded, I think, very, very well for the tail end. So happy about that. But once again, with the tail end, games went very well. It was another thing of presentation. Overwatch, I didn't talk too much. Fortnite was a little 50-50. Once again, I felt great that lady was there, and she was there helping me out and playing the game, obviously, with me. I just felt like I could have done better. So I think that's my biggest takeaway for the second half of Extra Life is I could have done better in terms of... Performing sounds weird, but that's the aspect I'm going to go with. In terms of performing, I could have done better. I think Overwatch went great. We had a lot of great players and good personalities in that, and I was able to kind of talk through my plans as deafened and muted in between plays. I think that was great. And we also included like the dead chat, so even if you were dead, you were able to interact with your other Ghost members, while previous years we did not do that. So having the big brain to figure that out and actually understand what to do, that was a good play instead of just sitting there in silence while the game was being played. So in terms of entertainment aspect, I think that is an aspect to improve. And exactly, Papa Griff, there's no fault in being tired. It's just I need to find a way not to manage the tiredness better, because I think ultimately, in the grand scheme of the 24 hours, everything went great. I stayed hydrated. I was eating a lot. Trust me, I was eating a lot. And we didn't have an energy drink or something of that matter until the tail end, and it was very effective. That's one of those games where, like, yes, energy drinks I know aren't something you should rely on per se, but in terms of something like this, if you do it too early, it's going to bite you in the ass. So I think that was a good way to bounce back for the end, because I felt great. Like, even packing up, even when we got home, I felt good. It wasn't until I sat down on the couch and melted into it that it was like, it's game over. I think you could ask Lady. I don't know if she's listening right now. But I sat down. We put something on TV. I picked up my Switch. I was going to chill, just going to play Pokemon. I looked at it for maybe 2 minutes, and I was like, I can't do this. And I just committed to falling asleep. So yeah, it wasn't until that point of sitting down that I was like, oh, okay, I've reached the end of the road of this journey. It's good. We're fine. But yeah, the energy drink definitely helped out later on. So yeah, it's just this weird, like, even regular stream, it's this weird mental hurdle and somewhere I need to improve in general of just a presentation, an entertainment, a performer aspect of, like, you're not talking. Maybe you should talk. And like I said, it's this weird mental game of, like, I don't want to be stupid and just be like, da, 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 like saying things for no reason, but I have to be engaging with people who are watching or people who aren't watching, because that's kind of the whole point of this streaming thing, to be interactive and an entertainment outlet for people. So just a criticism or a self-criticism for myself. Yes, while the tiredness was a factor, that is something I could have improved on. Yeah, it would be great if I had people as well, who did do those later portions. That'd be fantastic. But I could always ask, but I don't want to assume that is a portion I guess I can account for, because obviously that's very weird time slots for everybody. But yeah, I would be open to it, like we've talked about I think we talked about in last year's podcast, like doing shifts. Like we had, the LTS shift. We had Big John and Billy, myself, and Dio if he ever flew in. We had the cousin shift. We had Charlie, Steven, and Brendan. We had the Chaotic Ladies shift of Lady, Rainbow, Pancake, Like, if we had something like that, of course, that would be way more beneficial from an energy standpoint of, like, you have fresh groups coming in all the time. But I understand and take responsibility because, like, well, this is my event I'm throwing. I'm going to be around and I'm doing the whole thing. I can't, not that I can't rely on others, but I'm not, I don't know how to phrase it. I'm not expecting anyone else to do that, because I know that's not something they planned on doing, or like they didn't plan the event, or they didn't volunteer to do it. And that's, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I guess that's what the first 12 hours are there for, like just having friends over because it's fun in general. But that covers that basis. It's, once again, it's just something I want to improve for that second half. And yeah, I think a game choice, my game choices for this year, may have not been the best. I think I switched to Fall Guys during a little bit of the Elden Ring section just because I was getting a little frustrated with the boss. That was fun, especially with a new season literally just happening, not knowing any of the game modes. That was fun. So maybe switching it up to something a little bit more high paced, at least in terms of gameplay, where it's not more slow, methodical like a Kingdom Hearts of the previous year or Played Up of this year. I don't even remember what we played after the Sephiroth fight last year, but more upbeat games to kind of have me mentally stimulated to keep focus. And then, yeah, from a talking and presentation aspect, just something I could do more. How else do I think this year could have improved? We had a great turnout. To be honest, obviously with the donation numbers, that speaks volumes in itself. If we want to be statistical about this, so we had 126 unique viewers during that stream, which compared to our regular streams, fantastic. I think while we did less advertising and promotion, I think the promotion and advertising we did was more effective. Quickly did some videos for day before and day of, and put those out, and those seemed to get a bunch of traction. Put those out on all social platforms. Once again, the sticker giveaway was good. Talking to people IRL was great. As we had people from work show up, people from like family show up, friends show up, all good stuff there. So I think that was good. Maybe just me, I always want to produce it a little bit more and make it more professional. So obviously that means more time. That's just on me of like planning ahead and actually sitting down and doing it, which this year I did not. Yeah, I don't know. It was a great year. It was a great year all in all. Once again, having everybody back there, being actually in the room together was amazing. I want to try for future years to see if I can fix the camera setup a little bit. It's always been something where the people on the couch closer to the TV are cut off, and then usually people on the opposite side are cut off. So maybe doing a 2-camera setup or finding a way to kind of zoom out the camera or put it up in a higher, different area, whatever it is. That's something to play around with to improve. I think our overlays have gotten not better, but they're solid each year. We made a big leap a few years ago with me figuring stuff out. We had a moving background this year, which not a technical marvel, but still, everything looked very crisp and clean, which I appreciate. I can already think of some ways to take the current aspects of it and make it more effective and more efficient, where it's not all separate pieces but can still work the same. So that's good. Yeah. I can unequivocally say that my hype post both for you and Jeff results in 0. I'm sure people saw it. We saw some reactions for it. It's one of those things too, like, we could take this 2 roads, and I will admit, yesterday at work, I was taking the dark path of it because my mind goes that way sometimes when I just let it weave its web of thoughts. We can think about this 2 ways. We can be grateful about it, or we can be angry about it. We can always be angry about who didn't show up, who didn't donate, who didn't do X, Y, Z, whatever. That's not the right way to think about it. And I know it's easy to say it and not, like, it's easy to say and not perhaps that easy to follow it. But I'm trying to focus on the opposite side of the coin here. We did what we accomplished to do. We set a goal, we broke our goal, and we surpassed it. We had a lot of fun with the people who were there. But that's the thing. You don't give to expect to receive. I don't know if that even is phrasing is correct. Give because you want to give, not because you expect something in return. Is it frustrating when you don't get things in return? Yes. But that's not the right mentality, because then we're always going to be angry all the time. And that's something I am dealing with and have been dealing with for a while now, and am trying to improve myself with. It's not, once again, it's not easy, but I think that is where our focus should be. Once again, we achieved what we set out to do. We achieved our goal. We passed our goal. We're doing a second stream for it. And that's all we can do. We just move on to the next one. We focus on next year. Okay, how do we make next year better? Can we entice anybody more? I don't know how many times I can chop my hair and people are going to care. No, and Rainbow, I appreciate that, but and honestly, no. I'm not better than anybody, and oh boy, this podcast took a turn. Hi, welcome to... No, because once again, I'll admit it. Monday at work, I was the exact same mentality you guys are. How many people showed up or interacted with us that day? Okay, great. How many of those people donated? Less. Like, it's the, I don't know what the term is, that fraction thing. You get this, but then your return level is this. It's unfortunately, oh boy, we're going to get into business here. It's unfortunately any business thing. And I learned it from my initial job that was very, I don't know what the fucking terminology is, but it's like your return on investment. That's exactly what it is. You go and do an event. Okay, at that event, there's going to be 100 people. Okay, you're going to make an impression on 70 of that 100 people. Then you're going to physically talk and interact in some way to 40 of those people. From those 40 people, how many people are going to be coming to your place of business instead of there? Maybe 20. From that 20, how many people come back again? Okay, maybe 10. And then from that 10, how many stay on as a new customer? Maybe 2. Like, if we start breaking it down to, hey, you showed up in chat, but you didn't donate. Hey, you played this game, but you didn't donate. We all just get bitter. We all just, it's not, the energy is misplaced and not put in the right direction. And once again, I get it. It's definitely frustrating to know that somebody knows what you're doing, but they actively decide not to participate. However, I don't know everyone's situation. I don't know person's A situation from B situation. Maybe it's true. They show up, they don't care. That's one bracket. They show up, they can't afford it, they can't help out in that way. Okay, that's fine. They show up, they helped spread the word, but they couldn't donate. There's a lot of different factors. And it should be as simple as, the world doesn't work that way. It's not as simple as white and black, but let's not make this, like one side versus the other side. There's so many shades of gray and middle area of factors and everything like that. Like, we can't focus our energy there. All we can do is just move to the next one. And maybe it's as simple as me interacting with these individuals and explaining what it is a little bit more. Like, I can think of a few individuals right now who, granted, probably don't even really know what I do. It's just like, oh, he plays video games. Great. There's that level of understanding that people don't have of oh, you do this, you stream, oh, you do this content, and it goes out to these people, and then this charity goes to that. Like, it's that. And if it is just a matter of that, and that breaks down the walls and allows for them to come in and understand it more, great. Or it's just a myriad of factors. Who knows? No one will ever know. But like I said, there's two paths we can take on this, and it's either the path of we be angry, we focus on that stuff, and it just defeats the whole purpose of doing it, because then we're just like, oh, well, didn't get it enough, we didn't do our number. Like, look at last year's. We didn't even break $1,000 last year. We still raised $875 or something like that. That's still good. But if we're going to have that mentality of like, oh, this year shouldn't happen, there was no point, because we didn't keep going up, 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 up. Obviously, that's, a perfect ideal situation. That is what you want. But sometimes it doesn't happen. That's all it is. We just got to work towards the next one and see what we can do. But they're all very valid feelings. I'm just trying to, like I said, take that energy and put it in the right direction. Because I bet that, once again, that's a valid direction. But I feel if we go too far in that direction, it's doing more harm to ourselves than good. So, I don't know. As always, my phrasing is not the best. So yeah, moving forward, what can we improve? We talked about, the game schedule, maybe being a little bit more engaging there. I think we did a great job with obviously getting people back involved this year, physically in person. I think, not to toot my own horn, it was a fantastic idea to get people who can't be there live, get them involved in some way. Among Us was a fantastic idea. Once again, blowing smoke up my own ass. Interacting with all those guys, getting them involved. A lot of fun to reconnect, especially in a media like games, with those parties. Hope to do more with them and get more people involved, because I know some people schedules just didn't work out. That's an area we can improve in or just keep up with. Switching the schedule up a little bit would be great. I know Lady and I have talked about maybe doing different time slots, or instead of the 12 to 12, or doing, maybe it's getting to that point where 24 hours doesn't make sense. Maybe 2 12 hours. Maybe we pull a WrestleMania. We make it a 2-day event, kind of thing. Maybe that would be more beneficial to do energy-wise than one shot. Who knows? You inspired me and Nick to try our own Extra Life next year, not 24-hour, but definitely thinking a 12-hour stream. That's fantastic, and best of luck to you. And I mean, while Extra Life, like, their game days are the first weekend of November, I think it is, it's year round. You can do it whenever. We've talked about, I believe, even on this podcast, the last year's, like, a summer event, you can do it during the summer, you can do it in winter. It's 365. So if November is not a great time for you, do it whenever. I had a coworker ask me today, like, why did you pick that specific weekend, Thanksgiving weekend? I said, well, okay, early on when we first did it, it was two factors. It was, one, it's a holiday weekend. People are most likely going to be home so they can watch. And two, friends away at school usually don't have school during that time and are back home, so that's the time they can come over and hang out. So that was always my thinking. Could it be modified now? Perhaps, as we get older and more begrudging, It's a joke. Maybe we do a different, maybe we don't do Thanksgiving weekend, especially with, shopping and the holidays, especially around that time, like maybe funds are not as not disposable, but like you don't have that income to give. Maybe it would be more beneficial to do a different time. We talked about the summer because then we could do outside stuff. Who knows? Who knows? But awesome to hear that you are planning to do your own. That's great. So yeah, a lot of fun this year. I had a blast. It flew by like nobody's business. And genuinely, thinking back on it, I don't know why I'm tearing up. That's weird. Just having people back in the same room playing stuff together was awesome. And seeing the new faces get involved who were now local, seeing this sounds weird, old timers come back after a 2-year hiatus with the with COVID and stuff. Oh, the algorithm. Like that was great. And I know it wasn't everybody, but hopefully next year is just more people and more insanity and more fun. I'm looking forward to the 10th, 12 hours. I don't know fully what to expect game-wise. I'd love to do another Among Us session, but I have to reach out to all those people. Lady and I need a redemption in Fortnite as we only got 1 second place but didn't win any. Maybe we'll do that again. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what is in store for that event. Not looking forward to losing my hair. I know there's a lot of people like, well, why'd you put your hair on the line? Because that's what people care about. I gotta play. This sounds bad in a way. I gotta play the game. People are investing in my hair. That's what I gotta put on the line. It will grow back. I have to just have faith in that. So, looking forward to the 10th, 12 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/Enigma9011. Check it out there. 12 hours, raising money for Extra Life, Children's Miracle Network Hospitals, trying to reach $2,000 to go the Mr. Clean to get my head shaved. But honestly, anything we raise on top of what we already have is just icing on the cake. It helps out kids. It helps them out and their families in these tough situations. So whatever we can do to support, even if it may seem small, let's do that. Let's lend a hand. Let's help these guys out. And, selfishly, let's have some fun while doing it. So yeah, that'll happen then. I'm looking forward to this upcoming one. I'm looking forward to future ones down the road. And let's just keep pushing forward. Moving on to topic 2, let's switch over to wrestling. Everybody's favorite topic, everybody's favorite talking point. WWE had their Survivor Series War Games pay-per-view premium live event this past Saturday whilst we were doing Extra Life, so I couldn't catch it live. But caught the replay yesterday on Monday as of recording. And I just want to go over the matches, what happened, how I thought the event went overall, and where I think things could go from here, including the Monday Night Raw afterwards. I didn't really fully look into that results, but I guess I could pull it up now, and we could see where things are going. So, only a total of 5 matches from Survivor Series. We had the Women's War Games match, Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Mia Yim, and Becky Lynch against Damage Control, Nikki Cross, and Rhea Ripley. We had AJ Styles and Finn Balor. We had the SmackDown Women's Championship of Ronda Rousey defending against Shotzi. We had the U.S. Championship triple threat with Seth Rollins defending against Theory and Bobby Lashley. And then we had the Men's War Game match for the Bloodline against the Brawling Brutes, Drew McIntyre, and Kevin Owens. So, only 5. Kind of surprising because, well, at least in terms of old WWE pay-per-views, this was not that many matches, and they used to have a shit ton. So everybody got their time, and especially, obviously, the War Games matches were going to take a shit ton of time. But I thought overall the event went pretty well. Both War Games matches were exciting. Definitely have a few criticisms here and there about them specifically. As for the other matches, I feel they weren't the best, but they were okay at worst. So yeah, let's get on into it. So the show opened up with the Women's War Games match. Once again, I'm not going to say the teams. Team Bianca versus Team Damage Control. And I thought the ladies did a fantastic job. I do not think this was the best Women's War Games match. I think that might have been NXT 2018 with Team Ripley versus Team Baszler. I think that one's probably still the best. This one was good, though. We had a couple moments of a little bit of roughness. Just some things didn't go super duper well. There was a moment where Kai and Sky were working together, and unfortunately Io Sky was in the corner, kind of lifted herself up almost like a handstand on the corner ropes to kind of like slingshot herself down to do like a knee strike or a foot stomp on her opponent. And unfortunately, it just happens. Just happened to lose her balance, so she kind of fell towards the cage and then kind of had to reset herself for the movement. There was that. There was one kind of sketchy super kick going towards Mia Yim in a trash can lid that didn't really even get picked up towards the chin. Other than that, ladies did great. Heavy reliance on weapons here, similar to maybe the last NXT War Games match with like Cora Jade's team and who were they against? I'm not sure. But the 2.0 gals. A lot of weapon use here, which isn't bad. Like, obviously, I get it. Anything goes in this match. You know, you want to bring these things in, just pop the fans, because we're freaking idiots when it comes to these things. Oh my God, they have a kendo stick. They have a table. You know, like, I get it. But it was, I don't know how many kendo sticks they brought in. I don't know how many trash can lids they brought in. Like, it was a lot of things, and there was a lot in those rings that were not people. And when they were used, good. But the times when they were just bringing it in, it was like, your partner's sitting there, needs assistance. Get your ass in the ring and try and help them out. We had some good spots. Io did a nice moonsault off the top of the cage, as well as Nikki Cross doing a dive off the top. Becky with the finish doing a leg drop through a table both on Kai and Sky for the finish was great. We had some good finishers and reversals towards the end, from the Kiss of Death to the Rose Plant to the Manhandle Slam. That was all great. Mia Yim looked fantastic in this match. Really, really good job from her with some through the ropes dives, some slams onto full trash cans. Just looked really, had a really good performance herself, which I'm happy to see her kind of make more of a name for herself. Obviously, she went to Impact and did some work there, and she was never bad. It's just like she has stiff competition now here on the WWE roster to be a standout, and I think this was definitely a step in the right direction for her. So excited to see how she progresses going forward after this match. Potentially maybe her and Rhea will have a follow-up program, which both seem to work very well together, so that will be all good. Like I said, Becky would pick up the win here with that jump off the top of the cage. I guess it makes sense. Team Good winning here instead of Damage Control and those guys, especially as we get to later. So good on them. It's following up on Monday. It seems like Becky's going to be feuding with Bayley. I'm not sure about Kai and Sky. And then Bliss seems to be turning to whatever this Fiend project is. I've heard a little bit of criticism from the What Culture Wrestling guys on this, which I can kind of understand what they're saying. I was fine with the Alexa Bliss spooky character. It wasn't always my favorite, but I was okay with it. If it's something she wants to do, great. I mean, I'm sure merch sales-wise, she was crushing it with that, especially with the Lily doll. I'm not saying we need to get all back into that, but if it's something she wants to do, great. And obviously her and Bray have, good working chemistry together. But the What Culture guys were saying having her do this heel turn naturally is just like being a contender for the championship, and kind of using this teamwork partnership just because it was advantageous at the time also makes sense. But it seems we're going to go more of the Fiend, or at least whatever the fuck is going on with Bray, that route now. I will say Nikki Cross looks great back as more of her insane character. I'm not sure where her storyline's going to go. Her theme being the mix of old Sanity theme, harkening back to the NXT days, was fun. Yeah, solid match from the ladies. After that, we moved on to Styles and Balor, and I know this match had a lot of hype going around of it, or going towards it, because obviously these two, have a lot of history, Bullet Club, New Japan, etc. We had the one match of them together kind of thrown quickly together because Bray was sick that one time, and that was fun. I'm not sure if it was just because the overhype or whatever, but this match was, at least in my opinion, just okay. Nothing really super excited me about it. They were laying in their shots, which was kind of like, not fun, but like, oof, all right, good for you guys. Finish came up kind of quick too. We had a forearm followed up by a phenomenal forearm for the 1-2-3. Yeah, not too much to really comment on that one. We did have Good Brothers and Judgment Day out there at the beginning, but then they fought into the crowd and took care of each other and eliminated each other from the match. So no interference post that. And yeah, it was just a fine match. And then we got into Ronda defending her SmackDown title against Shotzi. Now, this one we could have seen a mile away. Sorry, Shotzi, I love you, but we're not at that point yet, and it's freaking Ronda, because Ronda can do no wrong. I will say they at least gave Shotzi time, not a lot of time, but gave her some time to put in some offense, and she was successful with the offense. We had Shayna Baszler on the side the entire time, so in elements of it, it did seem like a 2-on-1 handicap match. But yeah, Shotzi stood no chance. There was a couple maneuvers also that didn't really go off super great. Just not sure if it was miscommunication or whatever. There's a Hurricane Rana attempt where Shotzi was almost dumped on her head as she was flipping over. Whatever. Ronda would retain, to nobody's surprise. I think this is a step in the right direction for Shotzi. Obviously, put her in this picture, have her do some offense that isn't, totally messed up from time to time. And yeah, elevate her, push her, but it wasn't the time where obviously this was believable. Unfortunately, we still have some work to do with Shotzi, and it's not just Shotzi alone. It's like, unfortunately, I think Raquel Rodriguez now, she needs to be elevated back up from her NXT days. Who else is on SmackDown? Crud. Blanking. There's some other NXT call-up over there that I can't... Oh, well, not NXT, but Liv. Liv has fallen down from grace a little bit. B-Fab doesn't really wrestle as far as I know, so that's not even a contender. If we were to bring back Tegan Nox for SmackDown roster, I think that'd be a step in the right direction, but you got to build her for general audiences. SmackDown's women's roster is lacking a little bit, at least in terms of believable contenders, I think, for that main women's championship. Shayna would be great, but Shayna still hasn't been the badass she was when she was in NXT, and I don't know why we're not pulling the trigger with that. I get the whole buddy-buddy relationship with Ronda because they are BFFs, and it makes sense. They're both former MMA people, but we're still not pulling the trigger on going back to the well and what worked. So I don't know. But yeah, like I said, mixed bag. Good to see Shotzi in the spotlight. Not a great match overall. A lot of Sasha chants as well. We were in Boston during this time. She has still not come back, so we'll see. After that was the Triple Threat, the U.S. title match. I will say this was the surprise beyond surprises. From being at Monday Night Raw, I had no interest in this match because I don't know who the fuck I'm supposed to cheer on. Bobby's being an asshole. Seth's being an asshole. Theory, typically an asshole. Who's the good guy in this thing? Didn't really pan out in the match of who I was supposed to cheer for. I like Rollins. I like Theory. I respect Lashley. But the three went out there and they put on a great show, or a great match. This felt like one of those more energetic triple threats of like everybody was really trying to win, interfering with other people's stuff, saving the match, interrupting maneuvers. The saves that we had seen, especially there was one, Lashley had the hurt lock on Theory. Theory did the Brock Lesnar move where he pushed off the turnbuckles and Lashley was stuck or didn't let go. And then on 2.5, Seth came off the top rope and frog splash Lashley, breaking up the pin there. That was awesome. We had a step off curb stomp, so stepped off of Theory, curb stomped Lashley from Rollins, which was great. Rollins at one point was doing dives like back in his OG Shield days and Independent days at one point. That was cool to see. Great match by these three. I think the way it ended was Rollins had picked up Theory to do some kind of suplex. Lashley spears Rollins. They crumble. And Theory kind of winds up on Rollins, gets the 1, 2, 3. So Theory's now a 2-time U.S. champ. I know Theory's not everybody's favorite. I like him a lot. I like him from his NXT days with The Way. I know this character's not maybe my most favorite, but I like him. I have faith in him. So hopefully he can keep going and we can keep using him in a good way. But yeah, solid match from these three. Very exciting. And then we got into the men's war game. Bloodline versus Brutes, McIntyre, and Owens. Whole night we were kind of building this story as we had the whole Sami Zayn issue talking to Kevin Owens on SmackDown. Jay tried to warn Roman. Then Roman talked to Sami. Sami explained the whole situation. They hug it out. Roman gives this weird look as they're hugging where he's like, I don't know if I'm supposed to trust you fully. And I'm like, uh-oh, that's not great. And then we get to the match itself. Match itself was fine. Definitely escalated once all 10 men were in the ring in terms of the Sami storyline that they are telling and is going very, very well. Nothing super exciting until that point. We did have Jay start out with Pete Dunne, aka Butch. Butch was manhandling him. Then Ridge came down to help. Then Jimmy Uso was supposed to come down, but he was told no as Sami was sent, and Sami and Jay were supposed to work out their problems in there. Had that go on, continue. Solo Sikoa came in and dominated as his character should. However, one criticism on my behalf, I don't know if this man, I get paying homage to Umaga. Umaga was fantastic, regardless of his iteration of character. He was solid. Solo don't be Umaga. Be you. He did a lot of the wah, rage, war cry things and stomping around and slapping his chest and this, maybe one would have been fine. We're going a little far here. Just be the intimidator, the street fighter persona that you are rocking. We don't need the bulldozer. But he did great. He's been very proficient, it seems, on the main roster, and I'm happy for him. And then, we got towards the finale. So KO and Roman are doing their thing, slapping the shit out of each other, possibly rupturing eardrums. That's a whole different story. Owens picks up Roman with a pop-up powerbomb, smacks him with that and a stunner, pins him, goes for 1, goes for 2. On 3, Sami will catch the ref's hand, stops the pin. They get in a little verbal altercation. Jimmy Uso attempts to super kick Kevin Owens. Owens catches it. Sami drops to his knees. Kapah! Gives him the biggest low blow. And then, with a nod of approval from Roman, runs to the corner, runs to Owens, Helluva kicks him, and then offers up the body of Owens to Jey Uso, to splash him, get the 1, 2, 3, and Bloodline will take it here. They seem stronger than ever as hugs were exchanged throughout. It's going to be interesting to see how this storyline continues. As we saw on Monday, Owens kind of talked to Sammy and the guys, saying he was just disappointed that Sammy had chose this path. And then him and Jay, I think, had a match later on in the night. But yeah, where does this leave us with Sammy and the bloodline? When is the turn going to happen? Is the turn going to happen? And are we going to build to... Which path are we going to build to? Are we going to build to the quote-unquote safe path of Owens and Zayn reuniting and going after the tag belts? Or are we going to build towards the more adventurous path, in theory, that I've heard about, of Zayn going the solo route and potentially going against Roman for the title? Tough to say. Right now we're in November. Mania's in April. So, 1, 2, 3, 4 months. What's going to happen in 4 months' time that would cause this rift? Obviously, we had, the rift of Owens and a little chatter in Sammy's ear. Not that Sammy was convinced, but obviously that kind of caused a little bit of cracks and suspicion between the group. I don't know what else can happen from here to drive a wedge into this. Not sure. But really, do you think really he would go for the singles run? So I like, this is another theory that I've heard from other podcasters. I can't take credit for it. I think it's a fun idea. And the reason I think it's a fun idea is thinking back to Zayn's NXT days when he was first there going against Neville. It was a big climb to Neville to get to that championship. When he eventually won that championship, and this is after obviously his matches with Neville, his matches with Cesaro, the dude can work. And granted, it's been years and years since that, but if he can work back up to that level, I think it would be interesting. And especially with how much the crowd is behind him right now, that is a big moment. On the percentage of it happening, it's probably lower. Because you gotta, it's an interesting, it's almost like you gotta do a mixture of things. Okay, let's circle back to Kofi Mania, right? Now, Kofi was going against Daniel Bryan. Now, Daniel Bryan's obviously not a physical threat like a Brock or a Roman or, I don't know, some other big asshole. But if you think about Kofi Mania, we took Kofi, who was solid and entertaining, and we put him and his friends through a gauntlet. We put him through this rough build to the top and Daniel Bryan. And we had all this faith built behind him. I feel like we could do something similar with Sammy, where the podcast theory is Bloodline would turn on him, and literally that's when they would break the no blood thing, and they would leave him in a bloody pulp in the ring. And the imagery of that would get, just surge everybody behind Sammy. And then from there, you could have Sammy do this build. This is where I'm kicking in now. You have Sammy do this build like a Kofi, where maybe he's got to work his way through the bloodline. He can get back to the ring, or not the ring, but get back to the energy type of matches that he had when he was face NXT, and maybe build up to that point. I don't know if he would eclipse and take it from Roman, but that could be a story at least of fan investment that would be really good. We're in a dangerous spot with Roman now, and I think we've talked about it before, Papa Griff off stream, and maybe it's either them or on podcast, I don't know, where we're in an interesting spot, in a dangerous spot with Roman of who takes it from him? Rock seems to be the viable option in terms of this whole tribal chief story, right? Rock's obviously part of the family. Obviously, he's very successful in Hollywood. Obviously, he's very successful in past WWE. Like, he's the great one. Millions and millions, all that jazz. That makes sense from a logical standpoint, but then we fall into the trouble of like, oh, he's a Hollywood guy. He's not going to be around all the time. And then who beats The Rock, I guess, if you really want to consider that. I guess that really doesn't matter at that point. So you got option A, you got Dwayne. Okay, great. You got option B, which is Rhodes. Rhodes obviously came from AEW. He talks about this whole thing with his dad and now fulfilling the prophecy, or at least, the goal there of achieving the championship that his father never held. So obviously he comes back from this pec injury. He wins the Rumble. He goes against Roman. I know Cody's not everybody's favorite. I'd be okay with it, but I don't know if it would be my favorite option. Not anything against Cody. I just mean like in terms of a payoff. Cena is another interesting one, but I feel he falls in the same category as Rock, where Cena does a great job, obviously, at what he does, and he's very dedicated to the WWE and all that jazz. And he has credibility. I think this would be 16 for him if he wins, unless he's already at 16, or that would break the record. But he's been away for so long, which not a bad thing. Good for him. He's had success, outside. I don't know if he needs it. And then it comes to the thing like, okay, you balance the credibility of like, oh yeah, I can see X beating Roman, but then you also want somebody who gains something out of this, Like, does Dwayne need something out of this? Does Cena need something out of this? Does Cody need something out of this? I guess Cody makes the most sense out of these three, at least for like gaining something out of it in terms of the WWE fans, because we saw him in Legacy, we saw his upbringing, and then afterwards he left, he exploded, or at least made something of himself in a Ring of Honor, in a New Japan, in an eventual AEW. In the WWE's eyes, he's just like, oh my God, these are the fans who know he was over there at a different company and kind of built that up, and like, this is the big, whoa, like he's here now kind of thing. So that could work. But yeah, you want somebody who feels legit. And like Drew felt legit. And obviously we didn't pull the trigger at Clash of the Castle with him. That would have been another huge moment, especially being over in the UK and Wales and doing that. But we decided not to do that because we already had this long built up thing with Roman of whatever we're trying to tell here, and that would have felt like, well, there's all those plans, pow. You just blast them to hell. It's rough because it's almost the point where like, if you didn't have a plan, now you're scrambling to find the solution to that plan, and that's the worst. I don't know. Bringing back a Bobby Roode is glorious again, somewhat believable. I'd love for glorious Bobby Roode to come back, but like even that, at least to me, I don't know if that would pay off. Braun, no. Braun's good. This is another one of those super pushes, which I get it. I don't know. I'm good. I don't want Braun Breaker there. Unless you meant Strowman, then hell no. What you don't want is for Reigns to drop to someone like Omos. Yeah, but Roman's beating all of the big dudes. Then there's Bray. Yeah, so Bray's another interesting element into this too, right? Because Bray's legit. However, you get in the spooky wooky, mystical magical stuff with Bray. And while it's entertaining to watch and scratch your brain about of like what's going on, all that stuff, if Bray was still Eater of Worlds Bray, I'd say yes. But now that he's got these outlying forces, it'd be scary. It's not scary, terrifying, but it'd be one of those things where it's like, I don't want this to be based on hocus pocus. I want this to be just them going at it. And if they could do that where they don't have to rely on anything like that, then I'm down. Sure, let's do it. But right now, Bret's character seems to be focused on that, which is fine, because it fits this little niche and bubble of, like, something different. But I don't know how I feel about that. Cody makes the most sense. Almost Cody makes the most sense. But where do you dump Sami's in? Yeah, which I understand why people have been talking about the tag picture a long time of him and Owens getting back together. They dethrone the Usos. And I'm fine with that. It's just not my most favorite thing. And it's tough. Yeah, where do you... If it's not that, where do you put him? And that's this weird Booker game here of like, okay, how do all the pieces fit together? Where do you put people where it feels like it's a constant uphill of growth instead of start, stop, start, stop, start, stop, like we've seen countless times in numerous companies where there's a push and then they do nothing. There's a push, then they do nothing. Because Sami's done everything that I can think of besides the big one, other than the NXT title. He's had IC gold. Okay, he hasn't had tag gold, so I guess that's something. I think he's had US? No, he challenged for US in the Open Challenge. Okay, maybe he hasn't done that much as I thought. He's done a lot of storylines where he's not had a title included. But IC was the big run. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. Because once again, you want these people to be involved in stuff, but there's so many players and the right stories obviously have to come into play. Like, do him and Solo Sikoa have a program? Him and Jay have a program? Some other family member of the Samoan dynasty from somewhere else? Not sure. I don't know. So yeah, we'll have to see where things progress. Nobody beats Roman, who's the next warrior. Oh boy. We'll have to see where things progress from here in terms of the bloodline and where characters go from here. It seems like maybe KO will be the next person in line for Roman's title to most likely lose at the next Premium Live event. And then does Sheamus get a shot? Does Drew get another shot? Who's to say? I guess it'll just be a matter of time. And then, yeah, Rumble comes around in January. Is Cody good enough to come back? Or are we going to mix something up there and somebody else wins? If Money in the Bank's back at Mania, does that come into play at all? Does Seth get inserted back into the main picture? Which I'd be fine with, but it's another one of, like, we've seen this before. Which isn't a bad thing. It's just not stale, but not as unique. Who knows? Is Sikoa believable if he turned for some reason? I haven't... Well, okay, that's a lie. I have seen him as a face, but he's typically the same character as a face. I don't know why he would turn unless he just wanted to whoop ass on his own. Like, I don't need nobody. Because I know originally I think that was what he wanted for himself. He didn't want to rely on the Uso name because obviously he's Jay and Jimmy's brother. So that's why he went with the Sokoa name, is he wanted to kind of forge his own path. But now, obviously, he's been brought up into the bloodline. So that would be my only guess, is just to forge his own path. But yeah, he would just be essentially the same character. Maybe just a little change in verbiage. If he were to cut a promo or anything like that. I don't know. Well, guys, we'll have to see how things play out in the scheme of the Universal Heavyweight Championship and all that jazz. But I hope you guys enjoyed Survivor Series, enjoyed War Games this year. Curious to see if this will be a yearly tradition. I know we're kind of getting rid of branded pay-per-views like TLC and stuff, so if we're doing that, but then we're adding War Games to this one, I don't know if that will happen. But we did that with NXT. Who knows? Time will tell. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it, and we'll have to see where things go from here. This has been another episode of the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast. My name is Bret, a.k.a. Enigma9011. And if you want to catch this podcast live, you go over to twitch.tv/Enigma9011 every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, usually. We record it live. You join the conversation like Rainbow and Papa Griff did today. And we'll have some fun with the conversations. But if you can't catch it live, that is A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, #ad merch store. You can get all of your swag over there. T-shirts, cups, backpacks, and more. Rep the brand. Support us, and we would love you for it. Remember, any way you can help out and support, whether it's the merch or just likes, comments, reviews, shares, anything you can do really does help out the podcast and the show. So please do that. We'd appreciate you for it. Remember, our second charity stream is coming up on December 10th. So as of release, not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow. You can check us out over there. We're playing some games, having some fun, trying to reach our goal of $2,000 raised for Extra Life and Children's Miracle Network Hospitals. If we do reach that goal, bye-bye hair. We'll shave my head. Not live on stream, but, soon after. And we'll just have some fun with that. But I appreciate you guys listening today. If you guys tuned in to Extra Life this past weekend, thank you so much for watching, sharing, donating, anything you guys did with that event. We had a very successful year, and that is all in part to you. So thank you so much for your time and your generosity. And thanks for hanging out with us today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.